Welcome to Mad Mansion. To begin the game, each player will take one of each tile shape. A player may only hold one of each of these shapes at any point during the game. A hallway tile is placed in the center of the board. This is the start tile. Red will go first, placing a rectangular room with an open wall. This room is worth 1 point and is considered under construction. Now Red will build a hallway. Red thinks about playing this last piece, but decides to pass his turn to Yellow. Yellow builds a hallway, and now builds a rectangular room. It is also considered under construction and is worth 1 point. Red draws a tile, decides not to play it, and then fills out his hand with a hallway piece. That's the end of his turn. By placing this hallway, Yellow now blocks Red's room. Red will never be able to complete the blue room. Red builds and claims a room, and then places this hallway tile to complete Yellow's room. This room will never be worth anything more than 2 points for the rest of the game. Yellow now builds and claims a room. She thinks about closing off her suite with this additional room, but this would be a mistake as she would no longer be able to add any other rooms to this suite. It's better to wait until the next turn. Red draws and plays this room, claiming it. And Yellow immediately draws a hallway and completes the room. Red builds onto his suite. And now Yellow decides to close this suite, completing it so it'll be worth 4 points at the end of the game. Red adds an additional room to his open wall. Yellow draws and immediately plays a new room, claiming it. Red draws 3 tiles and fills out his hand. Yellow draws and plays a room and claims it. Now it's Red's turn. Red plays a hallway tile and then builds a new room, claiming it. Yellow draws a hallway tile and closes off 2 of Red's doors. After some thought, Red decides not to build a room and draws another tile to fill out his hand. Yellow also decides not to play the tile she just drew, and she fills out her hand, passing back to Red. Now Red must play at least one of the tiles in his hand. He builds a hallway. And a room. He claims the room. Now it's yellow's turn. Yellow must play at least one of the tiles in her hand. She adds a new room onto a suite, builds a hallway, leaving a half-open door, and builds one more room, claiming it. Red draws and builds a room. Yellow decides to add 3 tiles to her hand. Now here, red is adding a piece to yellow's suite, closing off an open wall. The piece adds no extra points to yellow, but limits her ability to add future rooms to her suite. Now yellow plays a hallway tile. Here she's setting herself up for the next turn. We'll watch what happens in a minute. Red draws a room, decides not to play it, and then adds 2 additional tiles to his hand. Yellow draws 3 tiles. And here we've gotten distracted, so we lose track of a turn. It should be red's turn, but now it's yellow's turn again. And she builds a hallway right here, blocking off red's suite. He will never be able to complete this suite by building anything over that open wall. Yellow goes on to build another suite worth 4 points. Now red builds 2 additional rooms onto his suite, completing it. The suite is now worth 10 points. And he closes off one of the doors of yellow's suite. Yellow draws 3 tiles, passing back to red. Red also draws 3 tiles, passing back to yellow. Yellow adds 2 rooms onto her suite. She decides not to build that hallway tile, so now it's red's turn. Red builds and claims a room. And builds another room. Yellow draws 2 tiles and passes to red. Red immediately draws a tile. He decides to play it here, but then he makes a mistake. He should only be able to play the 1 tile he just drew. He was already holding the hallway tile, But we lost track of what we were doing, and he has now played 2 tiles on his turn, which was not allowed. Yellow adds to her suite and builds a hallway. Red draws 3 tiles, passing back to yellow. She decides to fill out her hand, and the turn passes back to red. Red adds to a couple of his suites. Plays his hallway tile. Now it's yellow's turn. Yellow builds a 4-point suite. She adds a hallway tile. Try to keep the board nice and tidy. Red draws 3 tiles, passing back to yellow. And yellow draws 3 tiles, passing back to red. Red must play one of the tiles in his hand. He builds a room here and claims it with his last worker. Yellow builds a room and places a hallway blocking red. She claims her room. Now all of her workers are in play. Now red plays a hallway tile to block yellow and builds a room that no one can claim as all of the workers are in play. Yellow draws the last rectangular room tile and fills out her hand with another hallway. Red completes a suite. Yellow blocks red's room. And builds a room of her own that no one can claim. And she changes her mind. But still, no one can claim this suite. Once again, try to keep the board nice and neat. From here on out, every tile drawn must be played immediately. No one can hold a tile in their hand as soon as any of the stacks are depleted. Now the race is on to complete suites, close off rooms, and gain as many points as possible by tying up all of the loose ends. At the end of the game, when you run out of workers, you can end up building rooms and suites that no one can claim. You have to be careful as you go that you don't run out of workers too early, otherwise you'll be left in this situation where you're missing out on valuable points. Yellow is now completing a major suite, gaining valuable points at the end of the game. It was neck and neck, but now with 33 to 27, she's pretty much sewn up the game. Now the last room piece is being played, and neither player has been able to gain many points from these. Scanning the board, both players can see that the hallway tiles are not necessary to close off any of the rooms or suites, so this is the end of the game.